have to record, right? Okay, it's recorded. Anyway, Billy Kaplan, how you doing? Now we
Hi,
got
Rabbi. How are you?
Kaya and
Daddy.
okay, Ellie, you and your Shabbos best. Eric Shabbos best. Hey,
Ready?
well, first let me say hello. We got a few seconds for people to get on. See if people still coming on. Wait. Today. Everyone go out shopping today? Today I ripped the first time, and since it started, I haven't been in 7 Mile for 4 months. Today I needed one thing and they didn't even have it. I went in for 5 seconds. They didn't have it. I risked my life.
You didn't miss this thing. It's the same milk from 4 months ago.
Okay, could be. Anyway, it's really interesting, but I was there like 10 to 5, and I didn't even get what I wanted. I went in with my my N95, equipped and armed. Any germs that might try to attack me. Okay, so we're gonna mute everyone, and Ellie's gonna have to unmute himself, and Ellie will give us about 5 to 8 minutes of introduction. Then I'll give about an 8-minute talk, 10-minute talk, and Ellie will give us some inspiration to keep us soaring high. Double parsha this week. Need a lot of energy to get through the Shnai Mikveh Targum. Okay, hold on. Ellie, and then I'm gonna hold on, and then I'm gonna unmute with Ellie. Unmute Ellie. Unmute. Okay. Okay. Everyone hear Ellie?
Everyone hear me? Good?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm a cautious unto thee. 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 Caution of she, vanish mercy. We hear any caution of she, vanish mercy. Vanish mercy. Lady Rabbi. Sheon Hatzadikim Ve'avoy Sakdoshim Ve'im Sheon Hatzidkoniyos Ve'imoy Sakdoshim Irebe Rebe Rebe Ve'lezamekash Zayin Tzidi Oh Rebe 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 Ich will es am Engagieren sein zu dir. Oh, ich will es am Engagieren sein zu dir. Ich will es am Engagieren sein zu dir.
Want to start off with a thought I heard many years ago, yet as a Bocher, I think, and when I was in the Mir, I saw the Dvar. I actually have an original printing. It's not that old the Maril Diskin, of Shulei Diskin, was printed in Yerushalayim when I was learning in the Meir Yeshiva. And I had a friend who taught me a little bit about Svarim and found an old original print. And in that Maril Diskin, Shal Shachuvas Maril Diskin, there is a piece from Maril Diskin about this week's Parsha, one of the Parshas Balak. I remember reading it. It's a bit of a controversial piece. I understand Yaakov Weinberg felt that it was incorrect, but with all respect to Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg, if it's between Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg and the Maril Diskin, Rav Shulei Diskin, I'll opt with Rav Shulei Diskin without any question. But at any rate, Rav Shulei Diskin was a Rav Brisk, and then he was a Rav Yerushalayim, and he goes back a couple hundred years. At any rate, he says an idea, and the idea is a good idea to help us understand something in the parsha, but I think I want to take it to apply to our own life, because everything we learn has to be a practical lesson. So the big question is, Bilam had every intention to curse the Jews. What was he thinking? Did he think that he would be able to curse the Jews? Hashem's going to give him a nevuah. He tried to get a nevuah. It wasn't just he devised the curse. It had to be some sort of an interpretation of a mission from Hashem. He was expecting God to give him a nevuah that would turn out to be a curse for the Jewish people. What in the world was his havamina? So the Meiril Diskin says a yesod. He says an idea. I try to explain it as I understand it in its simplest understanding, and you'll see what I mean. So he says there's actually, the Gemara talks about two types of nevuah. The nevuah of Moshe was a spaklaria ha'meira. It was like a glass that was bright, not a crystal ball, but a very clear and brilliant glass, and a vision. And the other one is a spaklaria she'ena meira, which is not so clear. So he explains it like this, and he gives the following mashal. He says, when God speaks to somebody, so the Gemara says, "Ein shnei neviim misnabnim b'signun echad." No two neviim see the exact same thing. And he explains, because when Hashem communicates, you only can decipher the message based on whatever level you're on. So if you're a Moshe Rabbeinu and you have no self, your physical matter is basically non-existent. You're a pure neshama, even though he certainly was human, but there's no layers in between. So then you see God's message with actual accuracy. There's nothing to destroy it. That's like looking through a glass that's absolutely pure. The Navi is like a glass that he looks through, his soul. If the soul is clean, he's able to see on the other side of the glass. There's obviously a barrier between him and God, and you're able to see God and everything, the image that he's giving you in its absolute clarity. He says, however, Nevi'im were not that pure and not on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. So when they look through it, it's like Aspaklar She'emer. He says it's like he says a rose-colored glass. So he says we use a rose-colored glass in a positive sense. He means in a negative sense. In other words, you have a glass that's not so clear. It's not. It's opaque, right? Opaque means it's not clear, right? Well, which one means yeah? So it's not. You can see through it, but it's like sunglasses. So when you look through something that's somewhat darkened, you could look through it and get some sort of an idea, but it's only going to be perceived as well as clear as that glass is. If the glass has a lighter color, so it'll be somewhat distorted. It's a darker color, then you're going to see it in a totally different way. And that's how Hashem sends down his message. So Bilam, as great of a Navi that he was, there must have been some levels of spirit that he did attain, but because he had ulterior motives, because he was selfish, so the glass that he looked through and he saw the word of God was dirtied. So when you look through smudged glasses, you don't see what it says. You can misread what it says. Instead of it saying MS, it looks like the word sheker. You read it because it looks blurred. You say, what is that? Olives, shin. Just as an example. So what he meant to say is that when God speaks to somebody, it's up to the person to filter, to clean the filter that gives the message to you, because we're human. It has to come through our being, our body, our neshama. If our neshama is not pure, so then the message is going to be sullied. It will have a taint of your own interests. And I was always saying, he doesn't say this, I wanted to suggest, that's what it means when you look at a colored glass, that's on the other side. If you look carefully, you can see through. But what do you see when the glass is colored and there's something on the side? The first thing you see is your own reflection. And that's sort of what it was. Bilam was tainted by his own interests. And that sort of, gave him distorted sense of what he was trying to interpret from God. And God has this power of nevuah, and that's why he withheld him. God made a miracle, and he gave them a spaklaya mira that despite his sullied soul, he saw it with accuracy, and there's no way he could distort it. It's a normal nevuah, a normal communication. He had an ability. That's what he thought he'd be able to do. That's how he explains it. So that's that Dvar. But what I want to explain, in life, we don't have nevuah anymore, but we have the circumstances of life that come our way, and it's up to us to interpret God's message to us. Everything in life, everything that comes our way, whatever challenge that it is, whether it's an illness in the family, a death of a family member, a financial challenge, emotional challenges, whatever it is, whatever challenge, you're just stuck somewhere in the middle of and you're lost. Whatever it is, Hashem is testing us in some way, and it's up to us to determine what is that message. How do we read it? So if a person, sees himself, he can misinterpret the circumstances of what's going on and misinterpret it totally, and then with a totally missed message. But if you filter, you clean your filters, you change your filters in your air conditioning system, and you get free flowing air, and you get it, and you hear it, and you feel it, and you get the message, and you interpret it correctly, then you've got it made. So I want to tell you a story that happened my this week. It's the day of yesterday. Amazing story about, you look at things and you can rationalize things, but if you really, really look at the MS, and you do what you think is the real message from God, then Hashem will let you see his vision. He'll let you see his essence. He'll put down and put his arm on your shoulders and let you know that I'm here. And this is the story. There's a fellow, a Talmud of mine, who he had to send one of his children to Israel next year. He hopes he'll be able to send that child to Israel in an Israeli program. And as you know, many of these programs could cost $20,000 or more. They're very expensive, and they don't give big reductions. And he was a bit distraught because the people perhaps who might have helped him don't have the same assets under these circumstances, not willing to give that much to his family or friends that were helping him. And he also missed a deadline of a certain joining a certain program. You see, if you send your child to Israel and you join on an American program, and it's partners with the program in Israel, so then you can register as a student in here and get government monies and certain grants, federal grants, and you could save thousands of dollars and tax incentives, all kinds of things. And he had missed the deadline, and he was distraught. And he had this one other option, that he would be able to register that child in a college that would enable him to get the federal grants and the credits in that college that's in America, even though they're studying, they're joint, what they call a joint program. But the problem was that school said, if you join that joint program and take advantage of it in order to get the government to get grants and all the tax incentives, you got to commit that your kid continues after they finish in Israel in that program, in that college program, because they don't want to stop them doing it. And of course, they charge a nice fee for this also. They make money just on its own, but they want more students, so they tell them you have to come. Now, there's one or two things you could do. You could really commit, but it's very hard for someone to send a child to an out-of-state college. It costs a lot more than sending their child in a home state college. And this happened to be in 2 different states. And to make that kind of commitment, you could say you're going to send, and you don't really mean it. And you get on, and there's nothing they can do. So this fellow was tortured. He said, listen, I need at least $3,000 to $4,000 or $5,000, and make all the difference if I can send my kid to school or not next year. But I have to sort of fudge it and say, yeah, of course, I'll sign the agreement that I'm joining the joint program, and my child, when they come back from Israel, they'll continue in your college program, even though I really don't mean it, or maybe I'll rationalize it, maybe, And then, the person started thinking, look, I knocked myself out, and, they make money on it anyway. What's the difference if my kid goes there? And you can make a million rationalizations. But at the end of the day, it's sheker. You're lying. And it's a Jewish organization, it's a Jewish college, and you're lying to people, and they clearly have their intention, right or wrong, whether they have a right to do it or not, that's irrelevant. It's their right to do it, if it's morally correct or not, but they have a right to set the standards, and you have to abide by that. And he's tortured, and of course it was for the benefit of his child. Without that, who knows, what that child will be missing out. And he decided that, as difficult as it is to call me, I'm his Rabbi, and he would ask me what I thought he should do. I said, whatever I said, it was a challenge for him. And he struggled with this. He struggled with exactly looking through that glass that wasn't so clear, because there were a lot of rationalizations that colored the window and sort of permitted him to do it and rationalize. He said he's going to do it. So we struggled through it, and I said, I think you can't do it. I think you can't lie. You can't lie if it's a non-Jewish college. You can't lie certainly if it's a Jewish college. You can't lie to anybody. You can't check it. It would be wrong. And, let's see if we could try. We try to figure out what we can do. Maybe pull strings, not pull strings. Maybe get them to change but tell them up front. Anyway, he decided that he wasn't going to do that. He wasn't going to take advantage. And that was it. And again, meanwhile, not more than a few minutes later, after his decision to call me and do whatever I tell him to do. Okay? He's the saint, not me. I was just a shliach from Hashem. But he's the saint because he decided to look through the glass with clarity and, ask a shaila, and that would become his aspaklari ha'me'ira to see the word of Hashem. Not more than a few minutes later, he got a email from the school where his child was intending, that they were going to offer him a $6,000 off a scholarship, to reduce the fee by $6,000, which was more than he would have even dreamed that he would be able to save and make it possible. The minute he saw God's with clarity, and he was willing to shut his own interests and to do the Ratzon Hashem, Hashem put his hand on his shoulder and he says, I'm here. Don't worry, I'm always here. We don't always see it, but this time he gave him a nice pat on the back. You did good, and you won't suffer, and you'll be able to send your kid. I'm here. And just realize that I'm always here, even when it doesn't become that apparent. So we have to look at life with a shvaklar yamira. It says that, the Talmidim of Avram and the Talmidim of Bilam is, an ayin ra, you see everything negative. Ruach l'maycha, with arrogant, you think about your own interests. And nefesh chava, your own, money, saving money, new calculation we make. But with Talmidim of Avram, we're not Talmidim, we're descendants of Avram, it's the ayin taiva, the ruach l'maycha, the humble spirit, and the nefesh shel and the meek soul. We don't have needs. We have only one need: to see the Ratzon of Hashem, to look and see the circumstances of our life, and really fine-tune our vision. Don't let ourselves clear our glasses, clean them off, and look through it clearly, and you'll see Hashem. You do the Ratzon Hashem, you'll see Hashem, and in kind, He'll send back a message. I think it's an amazing story I was zeichet to be part of, but it's more than zeichet to have that Talmud that I admire, and I love him anyway, and his family. But even if he would have did the bad thing, but Baruch Hashem, you have to do the right thing. And Baruch Hashem, we should be inspired by that. And that's the story, Ellie. You like that story, Ellie? We did good? Okay. It's
incredible.
It's incredible, really incredible. Mamish. He sent me an email. I was blown away. More than he ever expected. He thought maybe $6,000. Amazing. Okay. Do everyone shut off still? Okay, go ahead, Ellie. You're on.
So, after such a story, you take anything you have in mind and put it into a niggun. So hopefully, you'll inspire all of us.
Okay.
La Sing along, hey, la 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 la, mo yo yo, hey, la la la, mo yo yo yo, hey, la 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 yo, hey, la la, my night, hey, la 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 la, my night, hey, la la la, my night, hey, la la la, mo yo yo. Maya Hey, good Shabbos.
Yeah, Ellie, thank you again. Ellie has another engagement tonight. I think you're doing a Kabach minion somewhere.
No, we opted out.
Oh, so no excuses. Another half hour.
That's why we were here. No,
What happened? Why?
instead it was too late.
Okay. Anyway, everyone's open. It's open mic if anyone would like to sing a song. I dare you. And I think everyone's open mic. Yeah, here we go. Some people still don't want to talk even when I open them up. And it's good to see. There's Chaim Wax, the curtain. The Wizard of Oz just pulled away the curtain. Remember that part in the movie when the little dog starts tugging away at the curtain, and he says to Dorothy, he says, "Ignore that man behind the curtain." Anyone know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Of course.
Just want to make sure that I'm on the same wavelength that some of you guys did. Someone's quoted to me something about from Laverne and Shirley today, but I didn't know what he was talking about.
Oh.
In my days. But,
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think
That was after you did tshuva.
I didn't do TV yet, so it must have been something else. Probably the tubes in my TV busted and they didn't. The TV repairman didn't come. One of my favorite memories of the death of a TV tube and waiting for the TV repairman to come with this big box and the tube and open up the bag and put it in. It was like you think it was like a moon landing or something. It was this. If anyone remembers what TVs used to look like, I remember talking about my youth. Big boxes with a little screen. It looked like a fishbowl almost. It was great times. I remember when they first started. I think I remember when they first had color TV. I think that was in our days. Yeah. I think Wizard of Oz was one of the first things that they showed on color TV. I think.
Yep.
Anyway, but that's all the Yetzirah. My Rebbe used to call it. He used to tell us the Technicolor Yetzirah. The Technicolor Yetzirah. That's
I like that one.
Nice.
Okay. Anyway, that's the story. Everyone ready for Shabbos?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
My skins are ready for Shabbos. They don't look like, well, Yehuda looks like he's dressed for Shabbos, and Yogi looks like he's still got a way to go. Yehuda, you're the man. We just learned in the Gemara in Shabbos. Your brother learned it, and you kept it. It says that if you mechabed Shabbos, so then you're saved from all kinds of troubles in life. So you see, he learned it, but you implemented it. Okay, it's a good team. You learned it. Where's Zayda? Where is he? Hey, I saw you dancing, Natan Moshe. You were dancing when Daddy was singing.
Don't need it.
So if you notice in the back, he was bouncing on the couch. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, folks, we're going to wish everyone a good Shabbos. Good to see everyone. And
Shabbos.
we'll
Shabbos.
Hey, we'll start dancing in shul hopefully soon. Okay,
Amen.
we'll see you in shul. We'll see you over Shabbos. Good Shabbos. If it's too hot, you can leave the jacket at home. I give a header. If it's too hot, you can down without a jacket. And the tie. As long as you keep the pants and the shirt on, you're okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.